waited all winter for this.
It's the biggest race we have all year long.
The icons of this sport have all starred on its biggest stage.
It's the great American race. Trust me.
I won the Daytona 500. I won the Daytona 500.
Pull them belts tight one last time, boys. Light the fire.
Big push coming now for Harvick. Oh, and around goes a couple cars. Priest upside down. He's barrel rolling through the grass.
You got plenty of money. Don't need that to keep racing. Is it worth the risk to keep on going?
Sure, to win.
Yeah, welcome to the Bump and Run podcast. I'm your host, Michael D. White, joined by my two best friends, Matt the Statman Reilly and Eric Daytona Ron. Hope you guys had a great weekend. Hope you guys had yourselves a Pennzoil 22 type of weekend. Team Penske getting the win down in North Wilkesboro for the All Star race. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, do all that stuff. Podcast available every Monday night, Spotify, Stitcher, iTunes, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, and more. And on YouTube, you can see our beautiful faces. Make sure you tell your friends. Let all your NASCAR buddies know, like, hey, I listen to these three chuckleheads from up near Pocono Racetrack. They're kind of funny, and they kind of know what they're talking about half the time. Spread the word, and let's get this train rolling. Fellas, how's your weekend? How's your all-star weekend? How you guys doing?
I was an all-star this weekend, boys. I was an all-star. So Steph had a little going away thing with the girls this weekend. She was down at the Jersey Shore. So
yeah,
it was my first weekend in single dad mode. Since becoming a dad. And I'll tell you what. You know how they say, like, the dad strength? I think it's weekends like this past weekend where you develop
Where you build it? Yeah.
Oh, my God, man. Yeah, I've powered up. I powered up after this weekend, for sure.
You're a level 5 dad.
He's at the age now where unless he's sleeping, he's moving.
Yeah.
He's just moving freely around the world and the house and wherever. And it's just like, no blood, no broken bones. Like, I was successful. So,
yeah. Hey.
So...
Still got all his fingers and toes. That's all that matters, right?
Yep. I took a bunch of pictures online of like babies doing dangerous things, like holding a knife and stuff, and I cropped his face onto it and sent it over to her. Like, just listen. Went over my parents' house, had a little accident. They got in balloons, and we can't catch them. And it's a picture of a baby holding a bunch of balloons through the air with his face. So
it's like, I'm teaching him how to chop wood in the backyard real quick.
Yeah.
How about you, Eric? How's your weekend?
It was all right. I worked a little bit harder than I planned on the weekend. Stopped over, your buddy's garage after work on Friday, have a few beers, play a couple games of cards, and next thing you know, your truck doesn't turn over when you go home.
No.
Had to leave that there overnight. Luke picked me up in the morning. We pushed it over in front of his garage.
I saw the video of you stealing the catalytic converter.
Yeah.
In your skivvies.
It was obviously it was a shitty rainy day here, and I had to change my starter in my truck in Luke's alleyway outside of his garage on Saturday all day. So took the starter out, went got a new one, put a new starter in, and spent all day working on that. So Sunday woke up sore as hell from underneath. Wrenching in tight little spots where you're at in there. So Sunday was a good day to just, have a full day full of NASCAR with the trucks and everything, and took it easy. So I had a pretty eventful Saturday, but Sunday, All-Star weekend, I enjoyed it, boys. I think I'm on outlier here, but I think as an overall, I think it was a success.
Well, before we get into it, because I do want to hear your opinion of everything. Matt, do you know where a starter is in a car? I consider myself a car guy, and I couldn't tell you where the hell a starter is.
I'm not as much of a NASCAR fan as I am my whole life.
Yeah.
I'm not a gearhead, man. Like I'm not like mechanically inclined in that nature at all. I love the competition. I love the strategy. I love the sport, but I'm not a gearhead. I try to educate myself, especially now that we have this podcast, but like I let Larry Mack and Steve Letarte tell me what's going on with the cars. I have
give me
no
that
idea.
cutaway car,
I pulled up YouTube. I said 2012 F-150 starter.
Okay.
The guy's like, here, it's underneath the passenger side. You need a 13 millimeter, a 6-inch extension, and a 10 millimeter. And go at it. It was only 3 bolts, 2 wires. But the hard part is the angle that you have. You could only do like on a ratchet. You go click. You hear
like 2 clicks, 2 clicks.
I could only do about 2 clicks.
Yeah, that's the worst.
I had to go 2 clicks. I didn't have enough room in there. It was patience. It was time and patience you had to have to do it. It wasn't necessarily hard to do. It's just, man, when those bolts have been on there for 10 plus years, seeing all the salt and grime that we have up here in the Northeast, those bolts don't want to come out all that easy. You know
what the best thing is for seized bolts and all that stuff? PB Blaster. PB Blaster.
We had some. We had some of that. Some spray that in there, let it sink in.
And if you need some PB Blaster, hit up
Knocker Loose if you ever use that.
And if you need PB Blaster, hit up Fastenal and Matt Reilly. He'll hook you up.
I'll always try and attempt to do my own stuff. You know what I mean? Like I feel like I am mechanically inclined enough that okay, my starter's gone. What else am I doing on this shitty Saturday? My buddy's got a whole garage full of tools. Go at it. You know what I mean? What's the worst that could happen? You know? So, I'm not really as far as cars, like gearhead either, but hell, I'll give it a go. And I'll tell you what, after I did it and swapped it out,
feel good.
Feel pretty good.
You feel good. Yeah, hell yeah.
So recently, I've been watching. Do you remember Horsepower TV on TNN back in the day?
Remember. Yeah.
I used to watch Horsepower TV on every Saturday morning. The whole block of scheduled trucks and all that shit. And I started watching those. They're all on YouTube again. I've been watching like a handful of seasons and everything.
I got to get that into my algorithm. That is awesome to have in there.
And I'm watching them do this. I'm like, man, I used to watch this shit all the time as a kid. This is why I'm convinced I could do anything. But in reality, I can't. I can't do anything. But like you said, YouTube videos.
I would be lying to you if on that Saturday, I didn't think of that guy on Horsepower TV doing all that little shit. Something small that you could do yourself. Like it was never a really major thing on there. It was like, oh, okay, fix this or fix that.
Yeah.
So it did, as a kid, give you the image that anything was possible with fixing a vehicle,
Well, today we're going to install a supercharger on a late model Mustang. And, it's always shit like that.
Yeah. Oh, 6 bolts, a little anti-seize, and you're good to go. It's like, no, that's not how it works.
And that's the thing. Like, I know what these things do, but then I open the hood. I'm like, I don't know what the fuck I'm looking at. There's the spark plugs. Those are the plug cables. I know that. That's about it. So, but I'm happy for you. I'm glad you fixed the starter. I actually have a coolant leak. If you want to come over one Saturday and check it out.
I have one too, buddy. So that's next weekend. I gotta fix that.
You better get that fixed before Pocono, brother, because remember, 2 years ago, I guess it was, that you had to get saved by our neighbors next to us, just jumping it.
Well, that's the battery, and guess what? That battery died last year at Pocono again, and I still haven't replaced it. And then,
I have cables. Don't you worry.
I didn't even tell you guys during the Darlington race the other week. I had to go. Bree took my car to yoga, and it died in the parking lot. I had to go and jump her. Thankfully, I bought a jump pack.
Time.
Yeah,
it's time.
Well, the reason why I haven't done it is because there's like a part where where the windshield wipers are, and then there's all the grates above that kind of filter. So the battery's tucked in under there. So you have to remove that whole entire valance thing. What's that? No, this is in my car in the Escape. Because she took it and then the battery died. It's all corroded and shit. I have a jump pack in the back of the car so I could jump it when I need to. It only happens once a year though.
That's those Fords, man. Both of you
get a new battery.
But the thing is, you have to
Ford, and you guys both have issues. Come on.
Well, here's the thing. So I have to disassemble that whole thing. I have to take the windshield wiper things, the actual arms off to remove this whole thing, just to get to the battery. But here's the thing: to get to the battery, you have to do the same thing to get to the coolant lines that I know are leaking, because the plastic deteriorates over the years and then it starts dripping.
Inconvenient.
It's the worst. Absolutely awful. And that's why I've been putting it off for so long, but I have to do it. I just need a really sunny Saturday with nothing going on. That way I can walk down to Barber Ford and pick up the genuine motorcraft parts I need,
Ford's fucked on race day.
Well,
except for the past couple weeks.
Except for
Really
the
bad
last 2
timing
weeks.
for that joke.
Speaking of timing, you guys want to jump into the NASCAR news. Not a whole bunch of stuff to talk about, but a couple interesting stories. Amazon Prime Video, this was actually announced last Tuesday, and I forgot to mention it. They're going to feature a documentary on Dale Earnhardt Sr., and they're also going to have several other sports documentaries. So they're jumping in full steam ahead with the NASCAR content, though, at least in preparation of 2025. What do you guys think about another Dale Earnhardt documentary?
Give me all of them.
Yeah.
Every angle you can possibly give me all of them, man. I mean, I know that. I mean, we all do. We all know that guy's life through all the other documentaries that are already out there. But yeah, man. Dale Jr. I think has his hands on it too. So
Does he?
It's gonna be amazing.
Yeah, so looking forward to that. And then we're going to the Coke 600 weekend next year. They're actually going to kick off their broadcast schedule with the Coke 600. So I'm looking forward to that. And then TNT announced their sports kickoff. NASCAR will return at Atlanta at a night race, June 2025. And the best part about it, we're getting a Saturday night race. We're going back to Saturday, boys. What do you think about that? Because I'm excited.
We need more. We need more Saturday night races, man. Yeah. Frees up the Sunday. It allows you to kick it loose, watching racing on Saturday night, like all of it, man. Like we need more Saturday night races.
Yeah. They've had Sunday night races on non-holiday weekends, and it's like, what are you doing? Just move it to Saturday night.
Yeah, I think the last year's Atlanta playoff race ended at like 11:15, something like that on a Sunday night. It was miserable getting up the next day.
It allows you to get with your buddies and have a good time and watch the race, you know?
Oh, yeah. So I look forward to it. Atlanta's always a great track since the reconfiguration, and I can't wait to see what TNT does. And, of course, don't forget Dale Jr. doing all those races, too, so it's going to be fun.
I'm especially now that it's hockey and NBA playoff season. I've been watching a lot of TNT because they cover both those sports, and their studio sports shows are fantastic, like unbelievable, both hockey and NBA. And so they take care of the sports that they cover. Yeah. Like they clearly care about it. So I'm super excited to see what TNT does with NASCAR next year.
Yeah, I'm excited to see it too. I wasn't a fan back when they were on TNT. I think Eric though and Matt, you guys were both watching around that same time. Was that when you were getting back into it?
I enjoyed TNT's broadcast. I always have, because like Matt said, it seems like they don't bite off more than they could chew with certain things, so that they could pay as close attention and make whatever product like we're hoping Fox would do. It's like, hey, just pay attention to us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, look over here every once in a while. And I feel like they do that.
And I believe I'm correct on this. I might be mistaken, though. I think that TNT is getting all of the practice and qualifying rights, too, to NASCAR next season.
With the practice and qualifying, it's like it's over here, it's over there. You have to get this streaming. I have no idea where any practice. Yeah. I'll find it when it comes time. That's pretty much what my motto is.
I could have swore it like it's all packaged in with them, and it's going to be different places, like you said, like Max and all those different apps and stuff. But I think they get the full season, so hopefully, if like you're saying, like their in studio production's really good, hopefully they really take care of us for practice and qualifying, because I appreciate practice and qualifying just as a fan, to know what's going to happen going into the race weekend. You know, fantasy and gambling.
And I don't know if you have this down. It jogged my memory. Matt, what he brought up in our text group about like the qualifying, how if you want to make it a TV spectacle and get people to watch, the qualifying effort of this past week. Yeah. What we saw with the pit crew being involved as well. Hey, if the pit crew's going to be involved in the race, then in the qualifying time, why shouldn't they? Hey, you got to come down to the pit road speed, your pit stop, that's everything, right? Yeah. On those green flag stops. So I kind of like the idea of what Matt said, where, hey, qualifying, if you want to make it TV or give TV an incentive to put it back on their programming, maybe get the pit crew involved in qualifying each week and get everybody involved.
Yeah, exactly like they did it this past week for the pit crew challenge. Is you run a lap, you come down, you get changed, 4 tires and gas and go, and then run a lap, and And that whole process is your qualifying, and it includes if you get, a pit road penalty or anything, and that gets included. And because that's what you're doing during the race, right? So why not incorporate that into the qualifying to give you a real sense of where a team is at? And yeah, I mean, qualifying is going to take a little bit longer than it takes now, but you're going to get a more complete idea of what you're looking at every week. I don't know. I think, and the entertainment value of it.
I was going to say it creates automatic entertainment, drama, stuff like that. And it opens up for opportunities for guys who might have a fast car to kind of mess up in qualifying. Then your pit selections might be a little worse than you thought they would be. And it sets up for storylines throughout the weekend.
What if you're slow on track? You don't have a really fast car, but your pit crew could smash it. And they give you an opportunity. Maybe you'll qualify 5 spots ahead of where you were on pure speed because your pit crew nailed it for you. So everybody's involved. I like that idea a lot.
It makes it a team effort because, listen, just like Eric said, like on race day, a lot of times, especially now, you win or lose a race on pit road.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean,
that's a bigger part of it.
I mean, that whole entire Darlington race, that number 1 pit stall for Tyler Reddick was saving his day for a lot of those stops. Speaking of qualifying, Kyle Larson qualified 5th for the Indianapolis 500 this past weekend. You guys excited to see Kyle Larson run the double?
I'm very excited about it. I mean,
not as excited as Jamie Little, though.
Oh my God, dude! Oh my,
what did I miss,
dude? She's
the Fox correspondent for the whole thing. So her whole job was to follow him over and go to Indy during the whole thing. So
okay, yeah.
So she was just Larson this, Larson that, just gargling him down the entire, every chance that she could.
And then during driver intros, dude, it was like the second coming of Jesus. She's like, NASCAR champion, number 1 in the point standings, just qualified 5th for the Indy 500. Kyle Larson.
And it's he just arrived. It wasn't even his time to be introed. No. She was just saying, "Hey, he's here." You know what I mean? It was oh my God, we get that's Fox in her ear saying, "Do this and mention this as much." It was a Fox thing where it was a shtick. Larson's doing this. It's getting eyeballs. Let's run it into the ground.
They just want the idea of, we talked about it, Whitey. I don't know. I didn't get a chance to actually look at our rundown this week, so I have no idea what we're covering this week. But in the chance that he wins the Indianapolis 500 on Saturday, or Sunday rather, and I'll tell you what, there's a chance. There's a legit chance that he can do it.
Yeah.
And then he's going to have to book his ass over to the 600. That storyline, you're going to have so many people coming from the Indy 500 broadcast that might not come over to the 600 broadcast, coming over just to see if this dude can complete this unbelievable feat that's never been done in motorsports. So I am especially now because we see listen, Jimmy Johnson was the fastest car last year and he did nothing. But Larson, we all know how good and talented he is.
Yeah.
Right. So there's a chance. There's a chance that this can happen. And so, just the fact that there's a shot at it, I'm going to be glued to the Indy 500. May as well be a NASCAR race for me because it's going to be me setting aside my afternoon and then getting right up to the Harding hole to get silly with the boys for the 600.
I can't wait for this week to end just to get us to Sunday because I'm so excited for the racing on track. And
I need a weekend. I need NASCAR. I need the boys. This weekend's going to be a good weekend.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it too. Do you think the motorsport? Obviously the NASCAR world is really invested in this, but do you think it'll move the needle for NASCAR in the motorsports world in general? Will F1 fans see Kyle Larson run the double if he finishes well and be because let's face it, F1 fans shit on NASCAR all the time.
And NASCAR fans
shit on F1 just as bad.
F1, we shit on them too.
If Kyle Larson gets a really good finish, which I think he could, and I'm hoping he does, do you think that? And I don't even want to use the word legitimizes NASCAR because we know that NASCAR is legit some of the best racing, and these are some of the most talented guys, But do you think it for the outside world, if he could go and finish top 5, they're man, maybe these NASCAR drivers are more legit than we think,
I hope so, man. I hope so. Like you said, they don't have to prove shit to us. We already know how talented they are. But to anyone who might be ignorant about it, like, yeah, like I think we all are. And if you're a NASCAR fan, you should be a huge Larson fan this weekend.
I think Denny said it. If it wasn't Denny, it was Harvick, one of them, where they like outright said, who has more success when NASCAR drivers go over to Indy or Indy drivers coming to NASCAR? It's always the NASCAR drivers do way better when they go somewhere else rather than, vice versa. So it's already, I think we don't have to prove anything, Whitey, to answer your question. I think that we already know who is there and who's superior, and it cements ourselves with what Tony did, with what Kurt did. Like, I think there's been, Gordon, like there's already been people that crossed over that showed that NASCAR could go that route and perform well and do well. But Larson, I think, has the name among everybody to kind of blend all of motorsports, like you're saying, coming from the dirt world, the sprint car, the modifieds, everything. I think he does.
Yeah.
I've got breaking news, boys.
What's that?
So I haven't heard from my dad until before the fight last night.
Oh, yeah.
He just texted me. This is live on air. Ricky has a decent hook. If it was good, Busch would have been dropped. Daytona Ron would have knocked him out.
So that's funny. It's true, though. It's true. Eric, show him that meat hook you got.
Oh, dude, these big Polish hands right here, dude. Yeah. You can't handle that, Ricky. He's lucky I wasn't down in Daytona when I left already when he was at Ocean Deck.
Oh, could you imagine decking Rocky Stenhouse Jr. at the Ocean Deck? Oh my goodness. What should we call it? I did see a quote from Kyle Larson though, where they're like, "Hey, if that fight continued, who do you think would win?" And he goes, "Oh, Rocky Stenhouse Jr. He's scrappy. He just won't stop." That's the thing. So I think if they let it go, he could have got some good hits in. Kyle Busch is aging too.
Like those dudes are tough.
Yeah.
But Kyle Busch's face he just absorbs them like Play-Doh, dude.
Yeah.
I don't think he could take damage. You know what I mean? His face just like absorbs it. He's like a monster from
talk about it. I want like a block to talk about this fight.
Yeah, let's hold this for later on. Let's see. I just have 3 more pieces of news, and they're really quick. Sad news for fans of Texas Motor Speedway, or at least the former president. Eddie Gossage passed away pretty suddenly over the weekend. And then Chris Rice of Cog Racing is denying rumors that they might merger with Trackhouse Racing. He says they're very close with them, but they're also very close with RCR. If you want to read into that, I don't know. And then the All Star race will will return to North Wilkesboro in 2025. So bringing it back, there goes. That's the news right there. But yeah, let's jump into the fight, because let's be honest, there's not much of to talk about from that race, right? Does anyone have the fight in the checkers and wreckers?
Yeah, I do. So we could do you want to do our grades first, and then we could talk about the fight when I get to.
All right, we'll fly through the weekend. We saw a truck race on Saturday afternoon / Sunday morning. The truck race was actually really good, which gives me hope for North Wilkesboro. Corey Heim was your winner there. And then the Cup race, the 22 led 2 times for 199 laps. Brad Keselowski led 1 lap. They were the only 2 leaders. We saw 4 cautions for 27 laps, 2 lead changes among 2 different drivers. And I give the race a D+. I didn't think it was all that great. It could even be a C. I don't know. I was sleepy while we were texting. I think all of our eyes were getting heavy because we just kept saying we would rather go to bed. But I did enjoy the battle with Bubba. For him to stay on the lead lap there with Logano, I think that was probably one of the most exciting parts of the race. And then besides that, there wasn't much action until Kyle Larson took some tires late there, and he was cutting through the field. I thought he could win, and then kind of got stalled out in 3rd place, ended up finishing in 4th. There were some good battles at the end there though too, so yeah, I'm gonna give it a C. How about you, Matt? And then we'll end with Eric, because Eric has a little more positive outlook, I think.
I gave it a C too. I don't have anything bad to say about it. I I had a long weekend. I was so tired last night.
I rated it a C as well, just so you know. It's,
okay.
It's just where
so it's a C across the board. But like, here's the reason: if that was a points-paying race, I'd probably be more critical of it. But like, I didn't care for the All Star race when it was at Charlotte, when it was at Texas, whether it's here. Like, I'm not an All Star race, All Star game fan of any of it. I don't watch the NBA All Star game. I don't watch the NFL All Star game. Hockey, like, I don't watch. To me, it's just like, I actually felt this whole week leading up to it, and I told you guys this, like, it felt like an off week to me. It just, like, I don't know. Like, I get why they do it, especially with NASCAR. You got sponsors, you got all that, yada, 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 TV, yada, yada, yada. Like, I get why it's run, but I don't give a shit about it. Like, I just don't. Like, of course I'm going to watch it. Of course I am. It's NASCAR. You got to keep, and there's storylines that are coming out of it with the fight and with everything else. So, like, with Ford, there's some storylines that are coming out of it. So it wasn't useless, but like, I was disappointed with the tire. Like, I thought we were going to see a big differential. I was too. Both tires, like, that didn't happen. I'm not against the track, and I'll get into that in my checkers and wreckers as well. I have more to say about the track specifically later on, but the whole thing, like, it's a show, it is what it is. I don't know.
It's an exhibition race. It's
and man, like I said, I agree with you, and I'm kind of a blend of both of you guys, where I gave it a C. I didn't hate it. There was times, like, in the beginning where there was certain battles that I kind of, after a little bit, knew was going to be kind of hard to pass up front. And it was, to me, there were good battles on the restarts. Even though there wasn't swapping back and forth, there was still side-by-side battles to try and pass somebody. So, like, it was basically like, when is somebody going to screw up? When is somebody going to slip up? That was when you were going to make the pass. You had to make somebody screw up. You had to race them hard enough and long enough and lap after lap enough to where they screwed up. And that's how you had to make a pass. And I found interest in that in certain battles on the racetrack where they were close and pushing each other. And to me, it gave me enough, like, spots where I was like, ooh, 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 like, oh, and like, even though the passes never got made, the opportunities and the attempts to make the passes, I still thought were exciting enough sometimes, and because it was a short enough track, that it gave me some ooh, ooh, ooh moments where it was tight racing. But I agree with you guys where if there was a full field of cars, and there was more lap traffic, it would have caused the leaders to have to use up more of their tires around lap traffic, and people fighting to stay on the lap more. So there, you would have more tire fall off because you would have the leaders battling lap traffic. You'd have more comers and goers. And even though it was cooler at night and the tires softer versus the regular ones didn't work out like NASCAR planned it to, hey, they tried. It didn't work out. It almost did at the end for Larson. Yeah. But as a whole, I think it was an all-star race. It was meaningless. There was some action. There was some good. There was some bad. We tried some things. And I think overall on the weekend, it was an all-star weekend. It was a success there. I think I like the feel of North Wilkesboro.
Fun event.
Just the track. I think you get that short track with the full field on it. And in the next 2 years, when that pavement starts to wear out, you're going to have a 3-groove madhouse in there as far as different angles, especially that one that Larson found at the end when he was really cutting the corner and getting on that patch of concrete so he could really turn and rotate his car in that turn that he found at the end where he was gaining. And if, that's one line, then you could have the Richard Petty, the high line up there they were talking about where he rides and you get the momentum on the top. So I think in a few years, the vision is good here, and I could envision a points race, and I'll judge it a little harsher if it was a points race, like Matt said. But it not being a points race, I probably could have given this a B as far as what it just was. But I feel like I got more hate just because Logano, led every single lap, and it was just like
I don't give a shit about that.
But even Dale Jr. said it, like Dale Jr. said it, like his old man led every lap. And then the year after that, Davey Allison led every lap. And it was just like,
sometimes it happens.
I get it, that happens sometimes, but like, look elsewhere kind of. And that's where I did. Once you could tell as a NASCAR fan, when the leader in the front, it's going to be tough to get around and pass. You kind of look elsewhere. And Fox, I will say, did a decent job at highlighting that through the field, some of the other battles that were going on, because most of the time the leader was checked out and they were showing like second, third, and fourth. So, hey, if that's where the battles are at, that's what some of these TNT, Amazon, if the battles are there, show the battle.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I didn't hate it, but I also could have done without it, I guess. If I missed it, I wouldn't have been mad, you know?
Yeah.
So couple things. Sorry, I just didn't want to. A couple things. So that was my records. So I'll just say that real quick. My records was that it was the All Star race run at North Wilkesboro, not a points paying race. Because 100%, Eric, the exact reasons that you just laid out. If that's a full 36 car field and we're getting lap traffic, and I think it gets bunched up a little bit more. I think it gets easier to. It's a little easier to get to the leader. And if it's run over 400 miles, you're going to have attrition. You're going to have other things kind of come into play there. So that was my records, is that it was, I want to see that track, a full race, a full field, and a couple more years of wear and tear on that new asphalt. And I think that could be a special place again.
Yeah, before you write it off, you have to give it a points paying race. You have to see what it does for a full actual race. I agree. Yeah, you have to.
Now, you guys all know, and if you've been listening to this show for years, I was the biggest North Wilkesboro hater going into it. I was one of those saying it'll never happen, and then when it did happen, I'm like, it shouldn't happen, But this is North Wilkesboro racing. Like, if you go back and watch some of those old races, the leader just gets out there, and then the battles happen behind them. We see this at other tracks too, I don't.
Sometimes somebody's just good too. You know what I mean?
Oh,
how many times have we seen Denny, someone out front, or Larson, where it's just like, God, like they're out there.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. There's not a whole lot of like phenomenal highlight finishes at North Wilkesboro, but I do agree that I would like to see a points race. I want to see more lap traffic. I want to see how that plays into it. And this is what I want to bring up. I want to see them try this tire again. I want to see them just bring the soft tire to a short track that doesn't have new, fresh pavement, because I'm sure the new asphalt kind of played a part in it. I know they did the tire test there and stuff, but again, temperatures and the weather and all those factors.
They said the open cars had the tire fall off was way worse in those open cars. That's why when it came to like lap 30, they were like, okay, like they're starting to like, or what was it, lap 60, they were starting to bubble in the open cars during the day when the track was a little bit hotter. The tire was doing what it was supposed to do then.
Yeah.
Once they got into the actual race at night, the tire just never did what it did earlier in the day. And we were able to go past 70 laps and they didn't wear like they were. So, I agree, Whitey. I think they have to continue to try this compound, and in all reality, do a tire test at night.
Yeah.
Do a tire test during the day. Like, try to do it. I don't know how they do the tire test. I heard a couple of drivers complaining about the way they test the tire there. I don't know if it was Junior. Was Junior the one complaining how they test? Where it's like they don't do it in race simulation, where he was talking about having to do a tire test like Monday, once you leave North Wilkesboro, do a tire test.
I think it was the DBC guys last year talking about it. Yeah. But like you should do a tire test with 40 cars, like just go out and run practice laps over and over and over again. You know what? I know all of us kind of hate mid-season rule changes and stuff like that, but would you be open to having the option tire available at all tracks, just to see, like, hey, teams, have at it if you want to, see what happens?
I would say, go for it, because everyone is so similar on speed right now. They've had changes in the past with packages. I know people don't like them, but they've done it.
Yeah.
And at this point, with everyone being so close on speed and being trapped in such a small box of not being able to do this or that to gain speed, this is an option to say, hey, you're not necessarily gaining speed on an opponent. You're choosing when you want the speed.
Yeah.
So that leaves it into the driver and the crew chief's hands. So I would say, yeah, go ahead and let the boys have at it.
Yeah, I'll double down with that too. I agree.
That reminds me too, I forgot to include it in news, and I forget what track or when it's happening, but Goodyear does plan on testing a wet weather tire at an intermediate track in the near future. So that could be interesting too. So
it's not Pocono.
No, I don't think it's Pocono.
Imagine heading into turn one on the
Yeah. No, I think they're going to try it at either Darlington. I want to say Darlington or Homestead, one of those tracks. I can't remember for sure. Let's see. You want to jump into the checkers and wreckers though? I know, Matt, you already gave your wreckers, but we'll get your checkers. Ooh.
3 wide for the lead. 1 lap to go.
It's this week's checkers and wreckers.
All right. Since it's All Star weekend, I'll switch it up and I'll start with my checkers and wreckers. Let's see. So I hate to do this, but I have to give it to the dominant performance of that 22 team. He said they learned a lot during a tire test at North Wilkesboro. They were one of the teams that were chosen. And apparently I was listening to the teardown. They ran like hundreds of laps during that tire test to get as much data as they could to help work on the short track package for Team Penske. And it seemed like it really worked out, especially for how bad the Fords have been this season. I know Brad Keselowski got the win last week, and now the 22 car gets the win this week. So it might be the tides are turning. I know, Eric, you were saying that the summertime, watch out for those Fords. So yeah, I just have to give it to the whole 22 team in general. And then my wreckers, I actually, for not enjoying the race much, I had really hard time wrecking anything because nothing really stood out except for the weather on Saturday. And it's just unfortunate that a lot of on-track stuff got canceled. Of course, you can't plan Mother Nature. And they got, I think I read it was like 5 inches of rain in like 90 minutes, something ridiculous like that. They saw hail, everything. Oh, you want to know what though? I'm changing my wreckers to Stewart Haas Racing for them having no crew members at the track on Saturday. I know all the cars are open cars, but the Hendrick Motorsports guys had to go and tape up all their cars so they didn't get rained out and their cars destroyed. So that's my wreckers. SHR just not being there on Saturday, not even having a handful of guys just to be there.
I would have said, sorry, guys. Like, they're your cars. They're not our cars.
Yeah.
Deal with it.
Deal with it. How about you, Eric? What's your checkers and wreckers for the weekend?
We kind of hinted on it a little bit earlier when we were doing our race grades, and it's got to go to that Larson-Bubba battle. You know, that really kind of sparked it for me as far as, okay, like there might not be passing, you know, as far as going back and forth, if this is what the battles are going to be, just tight, hard, door to door, you know, bad blood between those two to begin with when they're racing. So to race that hard, that clean for that many laps, I just thought that was probably the best chunk of racing of the day we saw. But also it was clean, hard racing that we saw. So just respect those two with bad blood on the line, you know, in the past, to keep it clean like that. I just thought that was probably the highlight battle of the day. And my wreckers, Ricky Stenhouse's dad, dude.
Yeah.
Stay out of it, brother. I don't know what you were thinking. Getting in there. Like, dude, stay out of it. I hope they take his hard card and he's
someone get Dad out of there. Dad.
Yeah. Like, to me, I thought, after it happened, initially seeing what went down, I'm like, Ricky Stenhouse comes out of this a hero, punches Kyle Busch in the face, gets eyes on the All Star race and off of the 22 team winning, which is great, hilarious for the whole thing.
Yeah, it really
overshadowed that. Hilarious. But as soon as his dad got involved and I heard him yelling, Dad, where's Dad? Get Dad out of there. Biggest pussy in the entire world after that. You go from hero to zero by your old man stepping in and trying to be the hero for you. Like, nah, dude, I'm sorry. That was just a bad look for Ricky.
And you can tell he was embarrassed,
too. That he did that, you know? Like, it was like, come on. Like, he had this moment in his head. He knew it.
He had like there was no like it was his dad didn't need to step in. Like, Ricky had it under control.
And he escalated it, and that was the whole reason the big guy got involved.
Started pushing guys off.
Started throwing people.
Let's get into it. Let's get into it.
Whatchamacallit? Third.
So that's my records. Is the dad stepping in? I think hard card done. You're out. Watch from the couch, buddy.
I have to give a third records to myself because after the 22 car crossed the finish line, I turned that race right off and I missed the whole entire thing until I woke up this morning and I saw your messages. I'm like, what the fuck happened last night?
I would have too. But I had to bring my dog out to take a piss quick before we went to bed. I never turned the TV off. I was going to turn it off on my way upstairs. So I walked back in, and they're interviewing the driver of the 22, and then they show a split screen, and I'm talking to my dog at this point. By this time, Steph's up in bed. I'm talking to my dog. I'm like, he's going to swing. Like, he's going to swing. And then it started, and I'm like, the 22 driver's getting interviewed, and I'm like, no one's at this point even listening.
The
22 driver could have said fuck on air, and nobody would have caught it because everyone's eyes and attention were on the right side of the screen watching the fight go down.
And
oh my God.
And you already gave us your records, but that leads us into your checkers. What is your checkers for the weekend?
My checkers is the fight, and we're gonna break it down like right now. But the reason why the checkers is the fight, my checkers is the fight, is because like we needed that, man.
Yeah.
Like I hate to say that like we needed a fight to like lean on because that's not necessarily the case because we're coming off, other than the All Star race, we're coming off some of the best, probably the two best races we've had in like 5 years, right?
Yeah.
So it's not that we needed it, but like. We're going into Charlotte, the Coke 600. We're heading into,
just builds that excitement.
Yeah, a little bit more juice.
The on-track product has been great this year. It's not what I mean when I say we needed it, but like just a week or two ago, we got done saying like we don't really have any like crazy storylines going. Like
there's no rivalries, really.
Rivalry, some sort of something. That's what I mean by we needed it. Like we need a rivalry. There's no rivalries. Everyone's buddies.
We get this rivalry. We get this timing when we might have the most eyes ever with the Larson doubleheader coming from Indy 500 to our sport. So the people hearing Larson, what are their first clips that they're going to get? Those people that want to look into Larson and NASCAR, they're going to see what just happened at the All Star race. Dude. They're going to see that battle. They're going to see all of that and be like, oh, well, they're going to get invested even though they don't want to. They're going to pick a side. Oh, I agree with him. Oh, no, I agree with him. Let's see what happens at the Coke 600. I think this weekend's the eyeballs on our sport, there's going to be a ton more than usual. And to have this spark up right before that happens, I think the timing couldn't be better.
This fight was all over all of my social media platforms from people, from handles that do not cover NASCAR, from ESPN to the Dan Le Batard. You guys know I listen to the Dan Le Batard show all the time. They don't talk about NASCAR, which is fine. It's not their thing. But like they tweeted it out or retweeted it. It was everywhere I looked today. And so that coupled with the Larson thing, you're right, Eric, it could possibly be if weather just leaves us alone for one day in the motorsports world on Sunday. Just leave us alone in Indianapolis and leave us alone in Concord, North Carolina. And please just give us these two races and let Larson win and bring all the eyes onto it because people are going to be interested in it. And we're going to break down the fight in a comedic way here, and I think in a second, but just the idea that happened, like, it was nice to see, man. And it wasn't just like a fist was thrown and they were broken up. Like that was a little bit of a melee that went down there. Yeah. Like it was awesome.
There was a long exchange too. They were arguing. There was some comments from KB.
It starts with like, there was like, what, I don't know, 10 different camera angles that this came from. Like if you want to see a different, so everything was perfect about it, right? Because you had like Bianchi and Bob Pockrass, like with their cell phone coverage, like Kyle Busch, as soon as he got out of his car, he had a horde around him.
Because Ricky was still there.
Ricky was still there. And I guess I had missed this, but I picked it up and someone said it today. Ricky had mentioned, I guess maybe it was during the All-Star race, maybe I missed it. He had said like, just wait and see what I do. So like, people knew something was coming.
So, first of all, to your point about people that don't give a shit about NASCAR, 29 minutes ago, my friend Shifty texted me, he goes, Whitey, NASCAR's in the news. I just saw the clip of the fight. And that, my friend Shifty has never watched a single lap of a motorsport, let alone lifted a hood of a car, you know? Whatchamacallit. So during the interview after Ricky got out of the infield care center, he alluded to basically what he was going to do. I forget exactly what he said first, but then the second line was, maybe I'll have Richard hold my watch. You'll see what happens. Something along those lines. And so everyone was on high alert. And that was on lap one. Yeah. 2 hours or so to cool off. What's that?
You froze there for a second.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
You're good.
They had I forget how long the race was. Actually, I have it right here. The race lasted an hour and 19 minutes and 57 seconds. So you had an hour and a half of Rocky Stenhouse Jr. just steaming in the garage area. He even said, normally he'd be gone by then, but you can't get out of the garage area while the race is going on.
And then Dale Jr. had the tweet of the night that said, cement off all tunnels leading into every track in NASCAR from here on out.
I agree.
So anyway, you have the video of Kyle Busch doing his angry Kyle Busch walk that we've seen a million times. Walking over, and then as he rounds the one corner around
Ricky's
the hall,
just posted up.
Here's Rocky Stenhouse posted up on the trailer hitch, just waiting. And so they get there, and it was perfect too, because you can hear every single word that was gone back and forth between them too. You heard the entire exchange. A lot of times, with the first thing that comes to mind is the Harvick and Chase Elliott thing at Bristol a couple years ago. Nobody to this day has any idea what was said there because it was so far away from the cameras and everything. Well, this was done right in front of a million cell phones, a million different Fox cameras. So we heard the entire exchange, and then it just broke loose, man. I'll tell you who my MVP of the whole thing was, though. And Eric, I think you were talking about it. Was that dude who obviously played offensive line at some point in his life before. That guy was an animal.
He threw 3 different guys off of the back of that horn like it was nothing.
My truck. That was amazing.
Should we play the audio? Should we listen to the audio? Here. This is from NASCAR's Instagram. Let's see.
Fireworks going on in the background.
Fireworks. That was a bad one to play, I think.
There's a couple that the audio.
This one's closer, I think.
All right, here's the Stenhouse Busch breakdown.
That's what he said. I'm sorry, man. I should have been better prepared with this. But let's see here. Let me see if I can find the.
But go back to the incident. Rocky Stenhouse did absolutely nothing wrong.
He did nothing wrong.
Fireworks are too bad, but yeah, Ricky did nothing wrong. He never touched Kyle Busch.
Now, this is the thing here.
So there's a larger story that's coming from this fight.
Because one, I don't think that was egregious enough. It's the All Star race to swing like he did for that incident on track.
Yeah,
but at the same time, if you're Fox or don't on that walk over there, don't you show him a replay? Why didn't nobody show Kyle Busch what happened?
I don't know. I think he just got out of his car and started walking, you know?
It's a good point.
You know what I mean? Because even Ricky, okay, I don't know. Normally, you would get shown that after the race. Here, look at what happened. If Kyle Busch didn't fully understand now, it doesn't give Kyle Busch. I understood at that point Ricky's hearing Kyle just be smug about it and not believe a word he says before he watches the video. But in my eyes, I think you show Kyle the video of what happened. I don't know if that would have changed anything, but that's what made me think there was shit going on beforehand, because just let him see the video. Kyle probably would have been shit, you're right. I hit the wall. Didn't seem like that when the race went down. I think there's so much more that's not even uncovered.
That's when Ricky swung on him when he wasn't owning up to it. He was like, I don't believe that. And Ricky's like, all right, boom.
Yeah, but I don't know.
So I forget where I saw it. It might have been it might have been after the whole incident. Jamie Little interviewed Ricky like after the fight had happened, and he basically said like Kyle Busch has been talking shit a long time. And I don't know if he cited what Ricky did.
Oh, dude, I've seen interviews like if you go back, I think it was
Daytona. He said
he wrecked him at Daytona or something. So
he's called him Rocky Stenhouse. He did something with the Fred Taylor and the boys.
The pivot.
He did something back when it wasn't the pivot, whatever it was before that. I forget what I Am Athlete.
Yeah.
When it was I Am Athlete, he did a sit down with them, like an hour sit down. And I'm pretty sure if I'm recalling this right, I'd have to go back and watch it. He mentioned something about Rocky Stenhouse. Like he said, so he has been talking shit on Ricky for a while now. And it might have just been like one of those, like, you know,
an opportunity, a door opened and he took it and said, you know what, this will be the time that it happens and it's going to go down now. And it's not, this is his opportunity. Yeah. And it just, he just took it. And that's the way I took it. Cause I'm like, like, where did this come from? Like, and it looked like, it looked bad that Ricky's dad jumped in, yes. But you know what's even worse? I don't know what, I think one of you guys brought it up. Kyle Busch is getting into fights with Rocky Stenhouse.
For real. What a fall from grace.
I said that.
You're getting into it with Rocky Stenhouse in the back. You got bigger issues, bro.
Yeah, dude. Well, he said at the end, he's like, because Ricky said,
as bad as you do.
Well, no,
so he's like, I'm gonna wreck you next. Charlotte.
Yeah, he goes, I'm gonna wreck you in Charlotte. He goes, go ahead. I'm just as bad as you are. All while Andy Petrie's standing there with his hands in his pocket, just fucking watching it all go down. What do you think that fucking that competition meeting was like today?
Oh my God, man. I don't know. That was I'm like,
he's right though. He's right. He's doing just as bad as Rocky Stenhouse Jr.
But Kyle Busch is in the right. If he's getting that he's only driving that equipment they're giving him every week.
Yeah.
It's like and it's like, hey, like, what do you want me to do here? Like, you guys have to do more for me. Hey, get him a teammate that could get him some data. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't blame Kyle for being as mad and egregious on the racetrack as he's being.
I also
he has to. You know what I mean? I just think this might be a good era for Kyle Busch. We might see, everyone says, oh, we want the old Kyle Busch back. We want him. Well, guess what? With the way he's running and this move from the 18 car, I said it last week. The 45 and 18 switch, he's on the losing end of that.
Yeah.
And I think you're seeing that even more now. It's the frustration is building. And you're getting into a Rocky Stenhouse. This is going to be an awesome era of Kyle Busch interviews for the next couple weekends. Yeah. And whenever Kyle gets his feathers ruffled, he tends to go out and just show, hey, shut it. This is what I do. So I'm excited for that. I'm excited to see what kind of Kyle Busch we get behind the wheel now. Yeah.
If they give him a car on Sunday, he could go out and win the Coke 600 easy.
Yeah.
You know, like
we said it. Did we say it last week? The lines are always blurred with me. Whether it was said on a text message, or it was said just off air. But like RCR runs well at the Coke 600. Man, I can see a scenario where Kyle Busch
and Ricky won't wreck Kyle Busch because he's on film saying he's going to do it. So if he does it, he's done. He's done for a race. He said it out loud. He's going to dump him. And with the whole Denny thing, remember, he already said it.
You do it on purpose, and then you get that fucking fine. You know, you get a suspension maybe.
So I honestly think in the Coke 600, KB's cleared because of what he said.
I think so too. I think so. I honestly, as much as I would like this to be a rivalry, and maybe I'm wrong, but like I honestly think it died last night, like after the fight. I think
Ricky smiled. He knew he got the screenshot of him hitting him in the face. He's going to put it on his wall, and that's all he wanted. And once he did that, I feel like 1,000 pounds got lifted off of Ricky's shoulders after he did that. With the way he did it, it's been pent up there for quite some time.
Yep. Kyle's fall from grace, man. He's fighting with Rocky Stenhouse. He used to fight with the guy who drives the 22, but now he's fighting with Rocky Stenhouse. So I don't know, man. It's we had a French teacher in high school. Her name was Miss Rao. She always said, "Don't fight down," and that's what Kyle's doing right now.
Is Iowa a short track, or is that a mile and a half?
It's not a mile and a half. I think it's a
1 mile, or like one of those weird ones where it's like 0.8 whatever. It's like something.
Right here, hold on.
I was gonna say I don't think Ricky does anything at Charlotte. I think he saves it for either Gateway or Iowa, maybe like a Pocono or something.
It's a 7/8 smile. Hold on, audio difficulties. What was that?
That was heart crazy on you. I don't know where that's coming from.
Crazy on you.
My phone just connected to Bluetooth. I think something
clicked on. So
Iowa is a 7/8 mile track.
Okay, so I think
just under a mile.
If retaliation happens, it could happen at Iowa. That's in the next couple of weeks. So I'm looking forward to that. Anything else to add to the fight, though?
Davey Siegel, one of the NASCAR broadcaster, he's a NASCAR media personality. He went down. Kyle Busch went down.
He was underneath him.
Did you guys notice the guy who wrapped up Ricky and took him to the ground? That's the same guy that wrapped up Noah last.
The security guard. Yeah.
Nobody's talking about that, but as soon as it happened, I'm like, that's the same.
Yeah.
That guy
he was in the same outfit, I think, too.
He's
that guy is everywhere.
I think he's NASCAR's head of security or something like that. And you want to know what? He knew. He's like, yeah, you better go over the 8-hauler just in case.
Bianchi said on the teardown this morning, because he was right there, that NASCAR security was instructed to go over to Kyle's car as soon as he got there, because they knew something was probably going to go down. So yeah, they were aware that there was probably going to be an issue.
I'll tell you what, KB got a couple good shots on Ricky's old man, though.
He did. He
a couple hockey shots because they had each other's. It was like where you have the collar and you're punching like this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, like you said, I feel like we just needed that. We needed something, because no one's talking about the 22 winning. No one's talking about him dominating.
That was the best thing to come out of the whole thing.
It was. It really was. So I think that made the All-Star race worth it. And you want to know what? We see tempers flare at the All-Star race. In 2019, we saw Clint Boyer going after Ryan Newman. And he was punching him with his helmet.
Yeah, when he wore his helmet.
Yeah.
I was at a Garth Brooks concert that night. Fun fact.
Nice. Probably better use of time than that All-Star race weekend. I went and got drunk at Douse's later on, because they used to be on Saturday night, and that's my fourth Wreckers for the All-Star weekend. Is it being a Sunday night race? Make it on Saturday so you could go out and have fun with your buddies. But here on the Bumper Run podcast, this is a short one, but everyone loves to talk about the winner in the 22 car on a Monday. But here on the Bumper Run podcast, we like to talk about the loser, and we just did. It was one Rocky Stenhouse Jr. got taken out by Kyle Busch on lap number 1. And fireworks ensued later on.
That's another thing. Like, the fireworks were going off. Like, it was perfect. That was one of the better fights we've had in a while, because, you look at the Gregson, the Gregson and Watermelon Man fight last year. Like, that wasn't a fight. That was Chastain just punching him once or twice, and that was it.
Yeah,
I think Austin Hill was hit somebody last year, but that was just a punch.
Yeah.
Harrison Burton got hit once, but that was just we haven't had a fight in a while.
Who hit Harrison Burton?
I think it was 2 or 3 years ago. I think he was still in the Xfinity series. I think it was Noah.
Okay.
I think it was Noah.
All right, I can see that happening. I was like,
there was a fight last year. I want to say in the Truck or the ARCA series that nobody caught on camera. And remember, the one guy was all bloody and he kept saying he got jumped or something.
No, that was an Austin Hill fight. I think it was an Xfinity series one, and he just popped it. I think it was Sam Mayer or Sammy Smith. I think it was Sam Mayer that got popped.
Yeah, I think so too.
One of those guys. Yeah. So there's a real zoomed out video, and you just see Austin Hill pop him. Yeah. That's all we have for the All-Star weekend. We saw an All-Star fisticuffs at the end, and some fireworks perfectly in the background too of that one video from Fox, if you go back and watch it. But like you said, we are heading to Charlotte.
Marty, you gotta come back with me.
Where? The next NASCAR Cup race. It's the weekend preview.
And we have all three series on track next week. Well, this weekend, Trucks on Track Friday night, 8:30 on FS1 for the North Carolina Education Lottery 200. Xfinity on track Saturday, 1 p.m. on Fox for the BetMGM 300. And Cup on track Sunday, 6 p.m. on Fox for the Coca-Cola 600. Fellas, to go over our picks from the All Star race. Wreckers number 5. I chose Josh Berry to win the All-Star race, completely forgetting about the open format and having to race his way in to even get into the All-Star race. So I didn't get any points there. Matt, you picked Martin Truex Jr. Eric, you picked Christopher Bell. None of us won any bonus points, but I am going to use that to set the lineup because Martin Truex Jr. came in 12th. Christopher Bell came in 17th, and Josh Berry didn't make the show. But I don't want to use that as an advantage. So I'll pick last, just as a punishment for myself. Eric, you could pick first. Matt, you pick second. I'll pick last. So does that work for you guys?
I picked my winner for this race weeks ago. I mentioned him before we were leading up to this, that I had my winner for the Coke 600 picked out already. And I mentioned it again today. I think he's going to get his second win of the season. I think he's been so consistent to the point where there's no doubt in my mind a win is around the corner for this guy. And no better than at the hometown where, HMS usually goes in there and kind of, does their work. I'm going to go with the number 9, Chase Elliott.
All right. I like it. He has been running really well. Not a lot of people talking about him. Could make some people talk about him Sunday night. How about you, Matt? Who are you going with?
I'm going to go with the dude. So it's Memorial Day, right? It's Memorial Day weekend. Yes, we're going to be grilling and drinking and watching sports and having a good time. But the idea of Memorial Day is to remember those fallen who've served their life protecting this country, right? There's one guy who does, they all do it, right, in our industry, but there's one guy who does a really good job at it. Throughout his whole career. There's one guy who's running hot right now. There's one guy who had just won just a week ago. Yeah. There's one guy that waves the American flag when he wins the race. There's one guy that I'm picking, and that is Brad Keselowski to win the Coke 600.
I like it. Well, we'll see what he could do on Sunday. He's won the Coke 600 before, I think, in 2019 or no, 2020 maybe?
Yellow walls were still there when he won it. Yeah. I can picture the yellow walls were still there when he won it.
Yeah,
So it's before 2019.
I'll let you know now.
I think he's won it more recently.
I'll let you know.
He's won it more recently since then. It was either 2020 or 2021 he won the Coke 600. I'm almost certain because I think it ended at like 1 o'clock in the morning or 12:30 in the morning.
I want to say 19 was the year that Marty stunk it up, that he won, he led every single lap.
He did. Yeah. And HMS had Chip Ganassi Racing had engine issues from HMS, and we all thought it was a big conspiracy theory.
That might have been Brad's last win, Whitey. Was that race you're talking about that he won the Coke 600? Was that his last win before this one recently?
Could have been.
I feel like a long streak of 110 races.
Nah, because I feel like he had a Richmond win after that later on in the playoffs. Let's see. I am going with another veteran because I think the Coke 600 lends it to veterans, and I'm going with one Dennis Hamlin to get it done in Charlotte. He also won the Coke 600 a couple years ago, right? He won in 2022.
Brad won the Coke 600 COVID year.
2020. All right. So yeah, we'll see what happens. We're 13 races into the 2024 season. We have 8 different winners: William Byron, Daniel Suarez, Kyle Larson, Christopher Bell, Denny Hamlin, Chase Elliott, Tyler Reddick, and Brad Keselowski. Can one of those guys get another win under their belt? We will see this Sunday, 6 p.m. on Fox for the Coke 600. Will it be one Brad Keselowski? Will it be one James Dennis Hamlin, or will Chase Elliott get his second win of the season? We'll find out, and we'll break it all down for you next Tuesday night because we're not working on Memorial Day. We'll talk to you Tuesday night. For Matt the Statman Reilly, for Eric Daytona Ron, I'm Michael D. White saying have a good night.
The bump and run. There it is.